That wasn't repetitive, that was poetic. I'll take a brief pause to thank Kenny for being open for us and hosting his place for us, as always. And my next reader will be none other than Bob Sunshine.
I'm recording. No applause. I gotta start over. All right, let's get this going. Okay, here we go.
Again.
Oh! Twist around each word I say. Sandbox time and I won't pay. Maybe next time be real nice. After all, God made you twice. Mistake first, second time fault. Afterwards got chocolate malt. Brain freeze told me hold on tight. Thrown off twice, she tried to bite. Crap, it can't be over yet. Haven't even placed my bet. After dinner, drink God laced. How else could I have been traced? Code blue rang out every bell. Notified each one in hell. Lucifer liked little lamb. Don't resuscitate, not damned. Blasphemous had to take piss. Unable was praying this. Please, O Lord, let my flow bleed. Hard of hearing, locust freed. I love that. Oh, that was 1:40 seconds. I know it seemed like an eternity, but we'll just do one more series and then I'm done. Oh! Caressed money before spent. Thrown out window, gold tooth lent. Matters not the poor man's plot. Only problem, balls got caught. Poetic peeve, pettiness. Raised the devil, frayed the mess. Counterpart was wooing horns. Afterwards, replacement scorns. Doesn't help when face on floor. Breeze a pond, enjoyed no more. Standing within mortal rut. Self-same symbol, swollen shut. And as always, there's a last one. Laughing lady, loafing word, real reward, roses referred. Whose words walk with witches' wrath? God helps devil draw the bath. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Kenny.
And next we have Robin.
Mine are not necessarily so cheerful, but they have green in them, so. How can love be the focus when I'm afraid the roof might fall in? How can I murmur lullabies and platitudes and everything will be okay when the bills pile up on the table like a disjointed sphinx with a disapproving frown? How can I jostle the crowd, tread the mill, make the penny, trust it will all come right? How can I mutter love words as the walls crash in, the roof trembles, and the candle goes out? Grew up, white walls, dead stone spaces pressed in. I fear green light, cannot read braille of bark, cannot see forest for the trees. Brown bark, green leaves, canopy presses down. Grew up, I fear.
Thank you. And Russ, you're next.
So if I tear up, bear with me. The world kind of changed in the past few days. My mom had a stroke, so, lots of change. And I forgot, I was supposed to give a PSA if I was going to share the news. So do not forget that acronym FAST: face, arms, speech, and time. Time is essential. We don't know when it happened exactly. She self-diagnosed on Saturday morning, being confused with her medication. She called the advice nurse. The advice nurse says, it sounds like you had a TIA. And so that was just, when I got the news from my brother about it, it was just, what is this acronym, whatever. And I haven't written about this yet, but there's some kind of metaphor I'm going to compare and draw to a friend I knew in Olympia. Her name was Tia. And we both ate at the same soup kitchen, the Bread and Roses, one day on a Saturday. She was kind of just friendly, flirtatious, and joking and said, hey, what are we doing today? And we'd never really done much, together as friends like that, just kind of shared the same table or whatever. And so I joked back, I don't know, what are we doing today? And then we played around in the conversation, something else, and then I said, well, I don't know. How about we're going to the Highland Games up at Evergreen State College? They were having the Highland Games that day. And Tia had just recently learned about her clan heritage, and I can't remember her clan right now. But we went ahead and went up there, and this woman is a warrior woman. She had like that white skater hawk kind of thing, warrior stature, not really big and fat, but tall and a little bit chunky. And she knew a little bit about the Highland Games before and was just learning her own heritage. And they have women's caber toss, which I'd never heard of at other Highland Games, but that one did. She competed and she won. So I'm going to do something with her name, Tia, and that acronym TIA, and I don't know what I'm going to say with it yet, but anyways. So she asked me to do that PSA. Time is of the essence. Some of the family stories and other friends and neighbors are kind of tracking that it may have been Friday sometime, but then again, she's been talking about confusion, which I just thought was aging. I didn't know so we don't know. She may have had another one before even. They're saying she's going to be pretty good. It was minor. And so we had a lot of appointments, a lot of change. Family and extended surrogate family tightening up and working together. So there's the PSA. Don't waste time. If you see somebody, if you wonder about yourself, this is something they told her in the hospital. She was at Sunnyside for the weekend. As a self-test, if you're feeling confused, strange, if the side of your body is doing something weird. Well, that could be anything else, who knows what it could be. But if you look at your face and you smile, and the sides of your lips are not in a balance like they normally would be, or one eyebrow is up compared to the other, that's a pretty good sign that you should treat it seriously and call. So, Aunt was in town. We were gonna have dinner on Aunt's treat, Silver Dragon, but the whole day changed. Once she got the call, or made the call on her own to advice nurse, and the advice nurse says, go to the urgent care, don't just see a nurse, see a doctor. Well, then that, my aunt went ahead and took her, she called my aunt, and they went, and then that was Cascade Park Urgent Care, and then they ended up in Sunnyside. And so, anyways, I'm kind of rambling. This is a project that my brother did, my older brother, and we were never estranged, but we may not have worked really closely together, but this has brought us tighter together. And don't know where it was, how it might have been where you went to school and had English classes, but both Kurt and I went through Hudson's Bay and their honors English, and you had to do in the sophomore year a project with poetry where he did the artwork here, and you had to choose, or you were assigned various kinds of poems and had to write one, and then you had to take one that you liked that somebody else did and include that. So I hadn't looked at this in years, but my mom had just found it, and she had just found her mother's poetry, and you may not all know her, but she's been enjoying coming to this particular open mic for the last 6 months or so. She's been reading her mother's poetry. She would read Robert Service, read something I've done a couple of times with her inspiration, taking a song that you're used to hearing and know it as a song, but read it as a poem. And the meaning often will shift a little bit to your heart, because you knew it as a song that you sang along to and might not have ever really listened to the lyrics, but when it's a poem, you kind of experience it in a different way. Anyways, still rambling. Hadn't seen Kurt Sport for a long time. The first poem he has in here, this is one he wrote, Hollywood. Go on, smile, flaunt your flashy pearls, your gleaming sequined wardrobe, while you step the choreography of your painted-on reality. The earth's all lonely children stare into your silver eyes. Deceitfully, coyly, and yet unknowingly, you lure her life-starred children with luxuriant words and movements into the voluptuous embrace of your winsome arms fur-spangled. And as they struggle to attain the torch of fame you carry, they're turned and spun and battered, till when broken they return to their place, so much less people having seen you face to face. And you can sit there smiling, having not seen them at all, for the darkness of your glasses. And he doesn't think he's good. For some reason, my brother's a bit of a savant, and he'll do this stuff, and we'd be on car trips, and some other people would be annoyed by this, but he would memorize like the entire Jesus Christ Superstar album and Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and sing the entire thing by memory. And he's a bit of a composer, but he doesn't give himself much credit for his writing. So when I came 4 years later, when I was supposed to choose a poem, there were two that we had slots for to choose in the project, and one was The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams. That's a famous poet that I chose, but then I chose my brother in this poem here. This is The Versemonger's Lily Pool, and that's the title of his collection. To me, this is just an incredible piece about poets. There's a wee man that dwells in a land far away, a monger of verse and a weaver of rhyme. Away to his garden he goes every day. Away to his garden he goes every day. where he sits by his lily pool, calm and sublime. And there, as he sits, he stares into the depths, which shine like the depths of the sea. When gazing intently at the water's clefts, it is said the whole world he can see. The passage of cities and fighting of wars, the pounding of rain in a world sound asleep. The men praising God from earth's bounteous shores, all this and more he sees there in the deep. This wee little poet and master of rhyme is keeper and watcher of men, space, and time. So that's Kurt Nelson, and there's this visual thing. I don't know if you all ever learned in English classes a thing called the clustering concept. In here, in his table of contents, he called it a webbing poem. So I'm going to pass it around if you would like to see that. So it's a visual,
Concrete quote.
okay, concrete poem. There's another term there. So that's Kurt Nelson, my brother.
Cool, very cool.
Julie? We'll have our featured reader after Julie, please.
I still say power to the short people.
Yay!
The first one is a fridge poem that I have decided to refer to as creation story. Blood red moon, goddess screams, dreams beauty, raining light into void, birthing life, creating the universe anew. That's from our refrigerator. I just moved the words around. Yeah. And this one doesn't have a title yet, but you remember the beginning of October when everything was still hot, still like sweltering summer, but the leaves were starting to change just a little bit, the first hints of fall. That's where this one comes from. The heat of summer's embers still grip the land as the fires of fall slowly spread their rainbow flames across cascading foliage. Legions of crimson, gold, and orange creep subtly and silently through tree and bush, cold mirror of August's infernos. Flaming beasts, gods, wild, immortal devourers, eating the world in a rain of ash and smoke. Those destroyers slumber now. As the world cools slowly, and the forests change their hues to mimic those fiery specters that devoured their flesh with such eagerness. Soon, the temperature will drop. Soon, the fields will shine of silver and diamonds. Soon, the moon god, the mother goddess, will cover us in downy white, and we will dream of spring flowers and summer sun.